Up the heat on the NCAA, the renewed push to ban transgender female athletes from women's sports.
DCS putting a little boy with strangers instead of his own blood.
All we know is family.
The couple who says the agency is violating its own policies.
Selfless and loving.
I still can't believe she's gone.
The sister of a passenger killed in last week's mid-air collision shares her heartbreak.
And tariff turmoil. What the president's plan could mean for your bottom line in the long run.
Not on the label. What's really in your child's baby food. Fox 17 News at 9 starts now.
Middle Tennessee's only primetime news. This is Fox 17 News at 9, your Code Red station.
I know the fight that I'm fighting, it's a necessary one.
Rhetoric that tries to invalidate our experience is hurtful.
Continuing coverage tonight on the Trump administration honing in on transgender issues. Some in women's sports want the NCAA to do the same.
Advocates like former collegiate swimmer Riley Gaines wants a ban on transgender females in women's sports. Fox 17 News' Karen Aguilar joining us here in studio after speaking with both sides.
Megan Scott, Riley Gaines wants the NCAA to reverse its policies that currently allow transgender athletes to compete in women's sports. It's a decision that would impact universities across Tennessee, but it's a decision the NCAA hasn't budged on.
It's been a few weeks since Tennessee lawmakers demanded change from the NCAA on what they call protecting women in sports, and still nothing from the organization. Sumner County native Riley Gaines is hoping the new Trump administration will step in. This after President Trump signed executive orders recognizing only biological women and men.
I think it's huge. We've seen a systemic erasure of women as a whole.
Gaines previously competed against Leah Thomas, a transgender athlete, before she spoke up.
With the stance I've taken comes a lot of backlash.
Last year, Gaines was among the plaintiffs who filed a lawsuit claiming the NCAA violated Title IX and asked the NCAA to reverse their policies. Title IX is based on ensuring there is no discrimination based on sex.
The Biden administration pretty radically rewrote this to equate sex with gender identity, being injured in their sports, being violated in areas of undressing. But President Trump has said, look, we won't give federal funding to any public institution that allows for this anymore. And that's to come soon.
But transgender cyclist Darren Johnson dispute there are injuries or a lack of locker room safety.
If there's going to be anybody that's consistently scared in those spaces, it's going to be the trans and gender diverse folks. They're the ones who've been the most vilified.
Johnson points to there only being a small number of NCAA athletes and feels the NCAA is doing the right thing in giving trans women opportunities.
I believe in fairness in sports.
We reached out to the NCAA for comment and didn't hear back.
President Trump has not announced he will be signing an executive order yet to attempt to stop transgender participation in women's sports, but we will be closely monitoring it. Reporting live in studio, Karen Aguilar, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well, we want to know what you think. Should the NCAA ban trans female athletes from women's sports? Almost 860 people weighing in on this tonight. Overwhelming majority, 95.3% of respondents say yes, there should be a ban in place. 4.7% say no. This poll is live right now. To cast your vote, scan the QR code there on your screen. It will take you over to our X page, and we will show you updated poll results a little later in the show.
Now, Fox 17 News has been tracking this debate for months now, and you can see all of our coverage on the Fox Nashville YouTube channel. And while you're there, we invite you to become a subscriber. Continuing coverage as locals stage a protest over one of the Trump administration's other focuses, and that's rounding up illegal immigrants. Tonight, a large crowd gathered at Centennial Park in West Nashville to protest those deportations. It is part of what they're calling the Day Without Immigrants rally. Some people actually walked off their job today trying to make a point that immigrants help to fuel America's economy. Some businesses like Baja Burrito, a restaurant in South Nashville, had to close for the day.
I think there's a lot more things, more important things that we need to focus on, especially our school systems, bringing the protection that each and every school needs.
President Trump argues, however, that mass deportations will make our country safer.
In the high cost of homelessness, after over a decade of problems, Brookmead Park in West Nashville set to reopen next week. The park was once home to the largest homeless camp in Nashville. The city shut it down over 2 years ago to clean out the camp. The gates have been shut down for repairs ever since. To see all of the issues with Brookmead Park, including the long cleanup efforts, go to fox17.com and search Brookmead.
Looking ahead now, Nashville is considering suing the state of Tennessee over a controversial law passed during the special session that wrapped up last week. It would make it a felony for any elected official in the state to support any measure that would protect undocumented immigrants. Fox 17 News' Madeline Nolan now with more on the pushback.
This bill that is waiting to be signed into law could punish elected officials up to 6 years in prison for their active support in legislation regarding sanctuary cities. Now, state representatives and also those Republicans out there say that they want to target illegal immigrants, with this bill forcing lawmakers to face consequences for supporting them. After passing the legislation last Thursday, Representative William Lamberth says that this was the easiest felony in the world to avoid. But Metro Law Director Wally Deeds says that it is a very dangerous overstep.
It would be an understatement to say that we have grave concerns about the constitutionality of those provisions. They appear to violate hundreds of years of law and common law and constitutional law. This is a gross escalation by criminalizing votes and speeches that members of a legislative body make on the floor. That is a significant escalation. It is unprecedented.
Deeds is now working with other council members and parties to put up a possible lawsuit against the state. Mayor O'Connell says that they already allow for ICE activity here in the city of Nashville, but he will be monitoring other executive orders or possible other pieces of legislation that may pop up in the future in the best interest of Nashvillians. In Nashville, I'm Madeline Nolan, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
When your child goes into DCS custody because you made a big mistake, drug abuse, physical abuse, whatever, DCS is supposed to find a suitable family member to keep that child in the extended family. But the story that we're about to show you, you're going to wonder if they really are making that effort. Judge for yourself. That story's next.
Also ahead, cracking down on an agency designed to help others. What's behind President Trump's latest move to target government waste?
Well, the State Department of Children's Services stated mission is based on a federal law to keep families together if possible. But Fox 17 News found in several investigations, DCS often chooses foster care strangers over family placement.
That's right. That's what we found. Fox 17 News' Dennis Ferrier has been looking into these cases for more than 2 decades. He joins us now with another case that raises questions really about whether DCS is following its own policy.
Sometimes a parent messes up and loses their child for good reasons. Even when that happens, DCS is expected to go to the family first for placement. So watch this story now and tell me if you think DCS made an effort to keep this little boy with his extended family.
Jesse and Yushikao House are the very picture of an all-American family. Jesse is a contractor with the Department of Defense, and Yushikao has spent a life in lab management and education. They are successful in the world, in marriage, and as parents of 3 children and grandparents. So it made perfect sense when Yushi's brother lost his son to DCS that his son Brentwood would come live in Alabama with his aunt and uncle.
He's family. There's no other way to have it. You can't sit by and have your blood. You don't want any children, for that fact, in the foster care system or to be without family, but you definitely can't sit by and let your blood relative not know his family and not know where he come from. So it's very important that we stick together as family. My grandmother had 18 children, so we're a tight-knit family. All we know is family.
When Braven went into state custody, the Houses say they contacted DCS within 72 hours and said, "We want him." But Braven had already been placed with a foster family. Nevertheless, Braven spent his first Christmas with the Houses in Alabama, and they had lots of visitation. But then that all suddenly changed when the foster family decided to block visitation and DCS backed the stranger foster family instead of his own family. The houses say the court hearing revealed so much.
The foster parents said that when Braven was dropped off at their home, that it would be a permanent placement. So that was 3 days. Within 3 days of him initially being taken from his family, they had already had their mind made up. So there was no, at that point, there's no need in moving forward, right? If you can drop a child off and tell the foster family this is going to be his permanent placement.
Let's go back to the mission statement. We'll read some of it to you. The department is largely guided by the implementation of the Families First Prevention Service Act, which places an emphasis on family foster homes and services that will help families stay safely together. No one has ever said one bad word about the houses. There's not even a suggestion there's something wrong with this model family. So how did we get here, where the houses haven't seen Braven in 3 years now? Why is he not at your house right now and we're not here?
We really can't give you a straight answer. We've heard a lot of things. We've heard that we got involved too late, and we know that wasn't the case. They said that we didn't have a prior relationship with them. That's not the case.
DCS will not comment on any case involving a minor. They say it's to protect the child, maybe, but isn't it always a convenient excuse to not explain yourself? Because if their mission is to put children with family members, why in the world is Braven not with the houses right now? DCS, of course, has no comment.
However, former family law specialist Connie Reguli says it's all about money.
The other issue that is the elephant in the room is the money. And the Adoption and Safe Families Act, bonus money and financial incentives after adoptions are completed. They do the adoption to the strangers, right, to the people who become the foster parents, and then the state gets a bonus check, and the foster parents continue to get paid every month. I call it the hidden middle-class welfare system.
In 2024, state records show DCS made $145 million in adoption and permanent guardianship assistance payments. That's a lot of taxpayer money. By the way, as family members, the houses get no money, no assistance. In fact, quite the opposite. They say they are right now $80,000 in the hole for legal fees.
To some, you think that's $80,000 and you still don't have the child, you would be bitter. But that's a proud $80,000 that we have spent, and we will continue to fight. The money is not the issue. His future is the issue.
So we mentioned the $145 million in taxpayer money going to foster parents in 2024. We just mentioned it. It's worth way more than a mention. The business of DCS, the business of foster care, the business of adoption. We've got an eye-opening story coming very soon. I'm Dennis Ferrier, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well, if we could just have today on repeat over and over again all week long.
Yeah, I wish.
That would make your job easy.
It really would, wouldn't it?
We could do this
Keep a lot of us
year-round.
happy.
I think we really could. It's like, hey, it doesn't get any hotter than this. There you go. All right.
I'm out.
Copy and paste. Copy and paste.
Today we hit 74 this afternoon. We were 1 degree shy from the record of 75. It was a warm one for sure, but you can see a cold front marching in. Now, the good news is, it is a cold front. It is going to knock us back about 10 degrees for tomorrow, but we're still going to be 15 degrees above average for this time of year because we were so warm today. So mid 60s for tomorrow. Notice that the front is coming through relatively dry. So outside of a stray shower, I don't expect much rain with this front here. Low temperatures tonight look to be in the upper 40s up towards Clarksville, to the low 50s here in Nashville and Murfreesboro, around 51 or so. We are looking at some mild weather for tomorrow. Still mild, although it is going to be a little cooler. And the 70s will hang with us for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday as well. But we are going to start to talk about more active weather headed our way, and it does include part of our weekend too. So enjoy tomorrow. It will start off a little cloudy with this front moving through overnight, but the clouds will clear. We're looking at a partly cloudy sky for the afternoon and still 64. pretty good for this time of year. Rain chance will be very early in the morning for tomorrow. We should be dry for the afternoon. Wednesday and Thursday, our first rain chance, and that is going to be a chance for showers and some thunderstorms. It'll be in the mix as well. We're going to do it all over again, mainly Saturday and Sunday, mainly Saturday night into Sunday. And especially this time of year, I know anxiety can be high, given that we're talking about the 70s in February, and that often can lead to severe weather. I do want to let you know that the chance for widespread severe thunderstorms does not look likely. The pattern doesn't support it. But with temperatures as warm as they are, it's possible that we could have a stray strong thunderstorm. But I would say right now it's a low threat for Wednesday and Thursday, Saturday night into Sunday. So low that I'm not going to call it a code red day just yet. We'll continue to monitor what we could see as we head into Wednesday and Thursday first off. And if we were to see anything, I would say an isolated wind gust would be what we're primarily looking for. Let's take you through Wednesday. Notice it will start things off cloudy and a few showers that are around. As we head into the afternoon, you can see that we do have some showers and storms with us. That should continue through the early afternoon and then evening hours as well. Again, maybe a stray strong thunderstorm, and given the dynamics for Wednesday and Thursday, wind would be the primary threat if we were to see one. Otherwise, heavy rain, some pockets of heavy rain, and just some general thunderstorms will be the story here. Wednesday evening, a bit of a break and a few showers by Thursday morning, but we'll do it all over again Thursday with a cold front pushing through Thursday afternoon. So a few showers earlier in the day. Then we get into the later part of the afternoon hours here. We're looking at showers and a few thunderstorms as the front starts to march through the area Thursday night and into early Friday morning. We'll do it again as we head towards the weekend, talking about Saturday into Sunday, and then beyond that into next week. We're going to flip the script a little bit. It's going to cool down quite a bit, but staying quite active. We'll talk more about that coming up in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
Well, looking ahead to this weekend and plenty of sports action right here on Fox 17. It all starts Friday with men's college basketball. St. John's taking on UConn. That game's at 7.
And then on Saturday, we've got more college basketball. Beginning at 11, Oregon taking on Michigan State. Then at 1, it's Marquette versus Creighton. And in the nightcap, starting at 8 o'clock, women's college basketball, Ohio State taking on USC.
I'm Christine Frizzell in Washington, and we are following the money at USAID. A closer look at how and where it's been spent and why staunch defenders say the work should continue immediately.
Tuesday morning, state lawmakers are going back to work at the Capitol. We're going to tell you what's on the agenda. Plus, preparations continue down in New Orleans for Super Bowl 59. But later this week, we're going to tell you about Nashville's effort to host the Super Bowl in the coming years. We'll see you at 4 a.m.
In tonight's Waste Watch report, President Trump slamming the door on the federal agency that delivers assistance to foreign countries that are recovering from disaster.
Fox 17 News' Christine Frizzell taking a look at why the agency was targeted for closure. And by the way, you can vote on this issue related to this story by scanning the QR code that will appear here shortly on your screen.
Major changes to the largest foreign aid agency in the world. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announcing he is now the acting director of the U.S. Agency for International Development.
Every dollar we spend and every program we fund, that will be aligned with the national interest of the United States.
The agency has for years been a target for some on Capitol Hill.
Well-intentioned people vote to give aid to countries in hopes that they will promote freedom, democracy, and United States interests abroad. Too often, though, it does none of those things.
This map shows where the money goes, largely South America, Africa, and Asia. Taxpayer funding for USAID doubling from the beginning of Trump's first term in 2017 to President Joe Biden's, from $20 to $40 billion, largely to account for aid to Ukraine after Russia's invasion. Trump's cost-cutter-in-chief, Elon Musk, through the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, announcing this online.
USAID is a bowl of worms. There is no apple. And when there is no apple, you've just got to basically get rid of the whole thing.
Workers notified by email not to come into the office, that the Washington headquarters were closed. 2 senior officials placed on leave after refusing to allow DOGE employees to access files, including classified information.
It is the lead development agency in the world.
and no one elected Elon Musk to dismantle it.
USAID was founded in 1961. President John F. Kennedy citing our economic and moral obligations to help developing countries, with new warnings about its work being blocked.
This has nothing to do with making the U.S. government more efficient and everything to do with aiding and abetting our adversaries around the world.
Democrats on Capitol Hill say they are already exploring legal options. They say USAID was established by an act of Congress and can only be disbanded by an act of Congress. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzau.
During that story, we had a QR code posted on the screen linking up to this poll asking the question tonight: do you support President Trump's efforts to cut government spending? The results here on your screen, almost 300 people weighing in. 87.3% of respondents say yes, 12.7% say no. Thanks for voting.
Now, some tariffs are on pause while the one on China is still set to take effect. We'll tell you what this could mean for your bottom line.
And a sister's heartbreak, the woman with Tennessee ties killed in last week's mid-air collision. In the economy tonight, President Trump's tariffs on Canada and Mexico on hold right now. The one that is expected to move through, though, is China. The president planning to hit both Mexico and Canada with 25% tariffs on imported goods. He says it's all to crack down on issues at both borders with immigration and fentanyl. Both countries plan their own tariffs on U.S. goods. Continuing coverage tonight on the economy and the impact of President Trump's tariff plan. Joining us now is Dr. Andy Borchers, professor of management in the College of Business at Lipscomb University. Thanks for being here, Dr. Borchers.
It's good to be with you today.
Well, let's jump right in. What will the impact be on Americans?
The first round of impacts that we would look for would be price pressures. From Mexico, when and if those tariffs go into effect, we'd see prices for vegetables and fruits probably going up. From Canada, we'd be concerned about things like lumber, oil prices, fertilizer prices, those kinds of things. And so the first way would be the price impacts. Secondly, we'd see some reduced trade because, again, these countries will retaliate. Our Canadian friends are very likely to retaliate in products like alcohol. Coming from places like Tennessee and Kentucky, which have GOP senators, they're going to probably buy less from us. And so that could have a job impact in time.
Well, you know, this is interesting, too. After President Trump announced that there will be a 1-month delay on tariffs being imposed on Mexico, the stock market quickly reacted, rebounding any speculative losses of the day. What does that tell you?
Well, it tells us that the market is certainly very sensitive. The Wall Street Journal came out and suggested that this is the dumbest trade war in history. Business in the United States generally doesn't want to see these tariffs applied. And it's going to be interesting to see how they respond as we go forward. It's creating a lot of chaos in the supply chains and disruptions that are going to be created from these actions.
Well, if President Trump is playing the long game here, could this ever be seen as economically beneficial to Americans in the long run?
It's hard to see it. Tariffs are generally not a good idea. Economists strongly argue that what we need to do in the United States is what we do best, and then use our friends in Canada and Mexico to have them produce what they do best. This so-called comparative advantage is really what we want to see. There is no U.S. car market or car manufacturing business. It's a North American one because it's tightly integrated. And so really the long-term benefits, there are likely none. And this has to do seemingly with a lot of short-term negotiations.
All right, Dr. Andy Borchers with the College of Business at Lipscomb University. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you much.
New tonight, family and friends are heartbroken after learning a Clarksville woman is one of the victims from the D.C. mid-air collision last week. 33-year-old Sarah Best graduated from Vanderbilt University and then taught in metro schools. Fox 17 News' Amanda Chen spoke with Best's sister along with one of her former students.
Sarah Best taught math here at Pearl Cone High School, and everyone who knew her had nothing but great things to say, who always put others first.
A loving wife, sister, and daughter,
Sarah Best and her family grew up in Clarksville.
So ever since I was little, she protected me from every hardship that I had to face. Anything that was difficult, I went straight to her.
Jessica Haynes is Sarah's older sister and says all three sisters were very, very close. She says Sarah was the glue in their family.
If I had to describe her in one word, it would probably be selfless. She did everything for other people.
Her sister says Sarah had dreams of working for the Department of Justice and had been working at a law firm in D.C. Jessica says Sarah was flying from Kansas back to D.C. on a work trip.
There's probably going to be lots of survivors, and she'll be one of them. And we waited for hours and hours, and then they finally told us that there were no survivors at all. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
I still can't believe she's gone.
Before working in D.C., a spokesperson for MNPS says Sarah worked as a math teacher at Pearl Cone for several years. One of her former students says Sarah was the best math teacher he ever had.
You could feel how much she cared about us and how passionate she was to teach. And she connected with us, she respected us, and she allowed us to be ourselves.
Jessica wishes she could speak with her sister one last time.
I love you. I love you so much. Thank you so much for being my little sister.
Sarah's sister says she's so grateful for the outpouring of support her family's received during this extremely difficult time. Reporting in Nashville, I'm Amanda Chin, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Looking ahead to Wednesday when Fox 17 News investigates school vouchers. Tennessee lawmakers just passing the plan during a special legislative session. Now some parents will get to use public dollars for private school education. How much will it actually help? And who can take advantage of the program? That's Wednesday on Fox 17 News at 9.
Just ahead tonight, My Cause, My Cleats, how a Titan star is using his platform during Super Bowl week to raise some money for a good cause.
Not on the label what's really in baby food here in America.
If you haven't heard the big games on Sunday, this is Super Bowl week, and while the Titans aren't in it this year, wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Akine is using his platform all week long, trying to, do some good for a good cause.
Fox 17 News' Johnny Maffei got a chance to catch up with Akine about how his play on the field is also helping the cause.
It's all just building up to this My Cause, My Cleats game. Just the more momentum that kept on building up into it.
For the second year in a row, Nick Westbrook-Akine teaming up with Destiny Rescue, a group that rescues kids from human trafficking and exploitation.
We actually had the chance to talk to a girl that that went to one of their rescue centers and has used their resources and has really kind of gotten back on her feet.
That girl's name, Abigail, right on the cleats. Number 15 on the field, entering free agency this offseason. He signed a one-year prove-yourself deal last offseason, and it paid off. 9 touchdowns, 32 catches, just shy of 500 yards, a career year for the undrafted IU grad. He's disappointed in the season the team had, but happy with the spot he's in, and what he's built off the field in Tennessee plays a factor in his next decision.
First off, just love this city, the community that I've now have around me, being planted in a church, having a group of men that I've got to know really well around the city as well.
Not making a decision just yet, though, especially with the little one at home.
I've been joking around, my wife's been joking around, her off season starts now. My regular season starts now.
In his performance, getting extra eyeballs, which he's hoping means extra money for Destiny Rescue.
Those cleats found the end zone, huh?
Yeah. They did, twice.
2 touchdowns against Washington, representing a cause that helps kids everywhere. So if you can help out the cause, the NFL's auction link is right on our website, fox17.com, and Fox 17 is your home for Super Bowl 59 this Sunday. In Nashville, Johnny Maffei, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well, Sunday, Fox 17 is your home for Super Bowl 59. Coverage starts at noon with kickoff at 5:30.
Coming up, we'll talk more about what we can expect going into next week. We know about the warm and active weather this week, but what we can see into next week coming up.
Also ahead, Fox 17 News investigates dangerous ingredients in baby food. What's not on the label?
Our Spotlight on America team has been exposing the hazards of lead and toxic heavy metals in baby food for years.
So many stories, and this is another one. Now, although the Food and Drug Administration adopted guidelines for ingredients, several lawmakers and pediatricians say more needs to be done. Fox 17 News' Lisa Fletcher explains why.
We've taken lead out of gas, paint, and water because it's toxic and damages our bodies and brains. But it hasn't universally been taken out of baby food, arguably the most dangerous place for heavy metals. After a bombshell congressional report found extremely high amounts of lead in legacy brand baby foods in 2021, the FDA promised to rein it in. Nearly 4 years later, the only action, released just this year, is a voluntary guideline for industry for lead in baby food.
It is very dissatisfying. And the idea that FDA is only now able to come up with one voluntary standard after 4 years of work is really a testament to how broken our food system is.
Sarah Sorsher is the Director of Regulatory Affairs at the Center for Science and the Public Interest.
What makes it so hard to come up with these standards? Unfortunately, for a lot of American politicians, regulation has almost become like a dirty word. And so it's become harder and harder for federal regulators to come out with new safeguards.
The non-binding guideline caps lead at 10 parts per billion for most types of baby food. For context, in 2021, a congressional investigation found baby foods containing lead as high as 880 parts per billion. With 4 years to prepare, experts say most baby foods are already in compliance with the FDA's new guideline. But Sorsher warns this is no time to let your guard down.
A lot of people look at these new standards and think that the job is finished, but it's really only just starting.
The limits do not include popular items like teething biscuits or snack puffs, known to contain high levels of lead.
What was your reaction when you heard that they set these guidelines?
It's just too little too late.
U.S. Representative Raja Krishnamurthy led the 2021 congressional investigation that exposed industry's neglect and the FDA's lack of action. He says 4 years for voluntary guidelines wasn't worth the wait.
I'm a little disappointed. It's just guidance. It doesn't cover all baby foods. It feels like they didn't get the memo that there's a lot of other carcinogens and neurotoxins out there that we need to police, such as cadmium, mercury, and arsenic.
And while the FDA hasn't been as aggressive as many had hoped, neither has Congress. This year, Krishnamurthy will introduce the Baby Food Safety Act for the third time, with prior attempts derailed by industry's influence with some elected officials.
What specifically, if you can, has been holding this up?
A lot of these food conglomerates definitely have power within Congress. And, they have the power to, potentially stop committee action. And I know for a fact, when I first started this investigation, there were a lot of different companies that were just not happy with us shining a light, let alone trying to pursue legislation on it.
If Krishnamurthy gets his way, there will be only mandatory standards with limits for all heavy metals in all food for babies, with consequences for those who do not comply.
We're not going anywhere because this is something that's just too important to ignore.
For Spotlight on America, I'm Lisa Fletcher.
Looking at a fairly quiet night tonight, a little bit of cloud cover moving in along a front that'll be pushing through. That's going to drop our temperatures about 10 degrees as we head into tomorrow. But a nice picture there from our Metro Center camera. As far as temperatures go for the morning hours, if you want to get up, maybe do some exercise. We're in the low 50s here with a partly to mostly cloudy sky. We'll likely see a little bit more of clearing as we head into the afternoon. But again, we'll see a mix as we head through those morning hours. So we've talked about the warm up on the way for the week ahead, along with some active weather. Let's look ahead to next week because there is a pattern shift that is emerging that I want to go at least put it on radar for you. We'll talk about it here. Colder weather expected. So while we have been enjoying this warm up, it's back to reality next week. We'll see those temperatures in the 40s to 50s for afternoon highs. and closer to that freezing mark for the morning lows. Along with it, the active pattern looks to continue, and as of right now, it looks like it will be mainly rain. So here's what we're looking at between the dates of the 11th, next Tuesday, so about a week from today, through the 15th. I'm seeing the potential for several rounds of rain that could bring us some heavy rain. If this holds up, it could lead to some flooding concerns for us. There's still a week between now and then, so a lot will change between now and then. But as of right now, I would say that rain with the potential for heavy rain does appear possible for us for much of next week. And as far as what we could be looking at, again, the risk of heavy rainfall, this is from the Climate Prediction Center. They're actually putting a bullseye over much of Tennessee here, a moderate risk for heavy rainfall, especially between the 11th through the 13th. So that's something that you just want to kind of tuck in your pocket and keep an eye on, at least keep in mind that that will be possible. Now, then the question becomes, we've got the colder air. What about the snow chances? Right now, I would say outlook is not good. It does look like there will be a winter component with next week's weather. But as of right now, I would say that looks to be mainly north of Tennessee and more so into Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. I'll say a low chance, not a no chance, but a low chance for now, with temperatures again hovering in those 40s to around 50. You can see there Monday already cooling down quite a bit in the mid 40s there, but we'll be looking at the 70s for the week ahead and the chance for showers and thunderstorms through the weekend.
Athletes Unlimited taking over Nashville. What you need to know about the Women's Pro Basketball League.
And battling human trafficking one tattoo at a time. The effort to put shop owners and tattoo artists on the front lines. If you were excited to hear about Nashville's pitch to get a WNBA franchise expansion team, you're going to like this. Athletes Unlimited is another league bringing women's pro basketball here to Music City, and it kicks off this week.
Well, this will mark the 4th season of Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball, but the first time that it's being held here in Nashville. The league takes place during the offseason of the WNBA so that players don't have to go overseas to continue to play. The roster includes multiple players from Nashville, including former Lady Vol star Isabel Harrison and former MTSU star Alicia Clark, who are both thrilled to be back playing in their hometown.
You know, the chance to be able to play in front of family and friends again, first time as a professional back here at home where it all started, was what really just like drew me in with it.
This is truly where it all started for me and my basketball career and the coaches that poured into me and just my family and everything. Nashville's so special to me. So to bring this game, AU, I've been doing it for going on 4 years now. To bring a game like this to the city, I think the fans will really appreciate it.
I'm excited about this. These women are playing an exciting brand of basketball. AU Director of Operations Megan Perry says Athletes Unlimited and the WNBA have the same goal, and they're hoping to bring simply more excitement to this sport.
I'll say we're well aware of the excitement that exists around the recent announcement of a bid for a W team, and we're closely aligned. I think with the WNBA, we have over half of our roster features talent, right? That's new and has WNBA experience. So, you know, I will say we're excited to see fans show up and to be able to experience, you know, elite 5-on-5 basketball in a really innovative and new fun environment.
Well, the AU Pro Basketball season starts up this Wednesday night and will feature 24 games that will all be played at the Nashville Municipal Auditorium.
Just ahead, using tattoo artists to help battle human trafficking, the bill before lawmakers that could make Tennessee a national leader.
Well, new tonight, State Representative Mary Littleton of Dickson is sponsoring a bill that would put tattoo artists on the front lines against human trafficking.
Now, her bill would require shop owners and tattoo artists to complete an hour of training to help them, recognize the signs and report those signs to police. Representative Littleton says traffickers often brand their victims with tattoos and other symbols to mark them as property. In 2022, a survey was done. It found almost half of trafficking survivors had one of those marks. If lawmakers sign off, Tennessee would be the first state in the nation to have a formal training program.
A roller coaster day for what appears to be the beginning of President Trump's trade war. I'm Atrell Nashar with a look at the immediate economic impact.
I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington. Coming up, how politics is playing a role in the aftermath of last week's devastating plane crash in Washington.